Honorable President of Parliament, Sarah Westcott Williams, Honorable Council of Ministers, Members of Parliament, members of the CFT, Chairman of the Board, Alchemina Pension Funds St. Martin, Mr. Franklin Richards, Director of APS, Mrs. Nadia Cruz Van Putten, Director of Dcomm, Mr. Andre Snape, management and staff of APS, invited guests, special invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon for this, the official ceremony for the groundbreaking of the Oryx residences by APS. What is APS? Why APS? Why housing? Well, APS has four main roles. First, collecting of pensions. Second, investing. Third, managing of risk. And then, of course, paying out of pensions. And if we're going to talk about investment, what better area to invest in than in real estate? And we're very happy to see that APS is stepping up to the plate to ensuring that we can be afforded more housing here on St. Martin. Now, of course, we're going to ask the individuals from APS to tell us a little bit more, and we're going to begin this afternoon with the project manager, who's going to tell us a little bit about the project. Please help me welcome Ms. Kendra Arnell.
It's really nice to stand here today. It is awesome. We acquired this property in long lease from the government of St. Martin in 2015, the end of 2015. And basically, it came with a clear destination. It was already defined what it needed to be used for, namely for the development of affordable housing. Maximum sales price was also defined. It was all properly documented in the resolution that we received with a maximum sales price of $250,000. Now, I realize when it comes to the term affordable, that's very subjective. Everyone has a different concept or a different definition of such, because you look at your own pocketbook and you determine what is affordable. But in this case, it was somewhat defined, so we needed to try and work within those parameters. Now, as a pension fund, you don't just get up one day and say, well, we have 11,000 square meters of land, let's just build some houses and see how it ends up. So basically, we had to set out and figure out what can fit on this property, what can we afford to put down, what is it that is needed. So the necessary time and energy went into defining what do we want to do. We talked to our participants, we held surveys, we tried to get an idea as to what persons were looking for when it came to owning their own home. And different things came out. People wanted a sense of security. They wanted, for example, gated community. They wanted the possibility of being able to sit in their own yard, hold a barbecue, know their neighbors, because that's what St. Martin was about, still is, maybe a little less in these more modern times. But you want to have an idea as to who your neighbor is and feel comfortable that your kids are outdoors playing in a safe environment. So these are things that came forward from that survey that we did. It was a long process because there were a number of persons that were really interested in participating and willing to participate in that survey. And from there, it became apparent that we had so many persons that were actually looking for a home. So using that input, we put together a design team consisting of various architects who were, some of them are present, IXI Design, Sika Design, they teamed up. We teamed up with engineers, local engineers, to see how can we take that program of requirements, what people indicated as being desirable, that we could still afford to build within the project constraints that we had, and come up with a design for these homes and the area that we have here. We came up with a total of 62 units, a combination of 2 and 3 bedroom townhouses with a possibility to scale or extend by adding a master bedroom suite. So that gives people the opportunity later on, as their family or their personal situation changes, that they can go a step further. We also have, for the smaller or persons that want to live a little more freely, 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom apartments, we found a nice way to put that all around a central courtyard where people can meet each other and get to know each other again. It's always, it was a challenge, again, because of the constraints that we had. The sales price was already determined. Building, courtyard, it's not particularly space that you can, it's not space that you can sell. You can't attach a sales price to a courtyard. However, it does contribute to the quality of living. So nevertheless, we were able to find what I believe is a happy medium between those sales prices and the cost of development, and be able to offer people what we hope may not necessarily be their forever home, but it's their home for now. And based on the interest that we've already seen come forward, we have over 200-300 persons that have already inquired and put their names down on lists and submitted documentation even to start qualifying for mortgage financing and to actually purchase a home with us. So I think the 62 homes that we are scheduled to build here, that has already started, and that we're breaking ground on today, is a drop in the bucket of what we can actually mean for the rest of the population of St. Martin. This is just among the group that we managed to tackle and speak so far that have heard about this project, that have spoken to us about it. And I do believe that this can dovetail into others, and I hope that we can, at some point in time, find another way to maybe carry on this project into a phase 2, 3, 4, who knows? But nevertheless, as I said before, as I started saying, it's a great joy to stand here today and see you all knowing that we are about to break official ground on it, even though we've already started. So thank you, and thanks to all that have been involved in this process, and I look forward to a continued fruitful working relationship going forward.
And at this time, we'd like to ask Mr. Andre Snape to please come forward and share with us exactly what the plans are in terms of the construction, quality of construction, exactly what is it that they can expect. Please welcome Mr. Andre Snape.
It's my pleasure as director and co-owner of Dcomm Leeward Island Construction Company, together with Henk van den Heuvel, to welcome you this afternoon. It was 22 years ago that Dennis Goossens established Dcomm on St. Martin. A few years later, Henk and I took over the helm of this locally based company. Years of hard work followed, investing all the profit we made in the company, buying the necessary equipment we thought was needed to execute the bigger construction companies on the island. And that is why we are here today. 20 years ago, projects like this could only be executed by foreign international companies. Today, Dcomm, together with our local subcontractors, can do these jobs as well. In December last year, we, among other companies, were invited by APS to participate in the tender procedures for this project. APS was looking for a general contractor to develop a housing project with the intention to create 62 residences, which could be qualified as affordable and were intended for sale. Of course, we made our interest known and participated in the tender. We could refer to our track record and our involvement in multiple housing development projects on St. Martin. We were excited that after the bidding, we were invited to elucidate our bid and explain the alternatives we offered to stay within the construction budget. We offered to execute this project in a relatively short construction period, based on 2 construction crews working simultaneously, using our 2 tower cranes to pour the the reinforced concrete buildings. Long meetings with coffee from Jelle and cookies from Hans followed. Meetings that were necessary to get the projects on budget without sacrificing the quality. Thinking along with the developer to find more efficient ways of building and thereby find ways to reduce costs. Remaining on budget was and remains key for both APS and Dcomm. In an open and transparent way, all parties worked towards an agreement, which was reached in June this year. Now it's up to us to deliver. Around the same time next year, we hope to see you all again to celebrate the delivery. In ending, I would like to thank our subcontractors, Windward Roads and WEC, and also like to thank the project management of Heren 2, and of course the managers of projects of APS, Kendra and Jelle. And like we used to say, we are proud to be your general contractor.
We're now going to ask the director of APS to please come forward and share with us exactly the vision of APS. Please welcome Mrs. Cruz van Putten.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm very glad to see that we're even missing enough chairs to seat all of you. So that means that we have a full house today. I am very, very happy that we have reached this stage today, that we can finally do the groundbreaking. Today, I stood in Parliament and I talked about our projects and our investments. And I explained how important it is to us that we choose the right things to invest our money in. And I am confident that this project, Oryx Hills, is going to be the one that will go down in history as one of the best projects, not only from APS, but of this island. It's going to be an example for others, and it's going to be an example that we can always look at as, hey, this is the time that something really good happened in St. Martin. And why do I mention this specific, the housing market? There is nowhere quite in the world as special as in St. Martin, and definitely not when it comes to the housing market. Our housing market is quite atypical, as they like to say. The land is extremely expensive, and houses even more so. It's extremely difficult as a first-time, homeowner to actually find a home that you can afford. How do you do that? If once you buy the land, you can't really afford to build a house on it. Or if you have the land, it's way too expensive to start building a house on it. How do you go about doing that? I've heard stories from older persons within the crowd right now about how they built their house back in the day through jollification or, brick by brick, piece by piece. We don't do that anymore. Maybe we should start, but anyway, don't do that. We need to invest in these type of projects. So it's important to realize where we're coming from. I was traveling last year, and I met someone who is one of our pensioners. And his name is Mr. Kingsale. And he told me, Nadia, what are you going to do for us? I mean, I'm only going to benefit from the pension fund if I die, right? I was like, no, you're planning to get to your pension age, right? And receive your pension? Nah, man, I live too well, so I'm probably going to die before that. So what are you going to do for me right now? And I was like, okay, Mr. Kingsale, yeah, you have a point. So, and that is exactly the reason why we're developing these type of projects, because you don't have to wait till you go on pension or something worse happens, like, that you need to get a pension for your widow or your kids. No. We can do something right now. You can participate in such a project, which hopefully is one of many, in order for you to own your own home. Your pension fund is going to make it happen. And I am proud to take the lead in that, together with Dcomm, together with the project department, together with the board of APS and the government of St. Martin, especially the one who helped us get the permits out, Minister Gitterson, I am very, very, very thankful because together, all of us are ensuring that in about a year, 62 St. Martiners will own their own home. I would like to thank you once more for being here today with us and to be on this journey in which I am happy to be part of. Thank you.
And we're now going to ask the chairman of the board of APS, former Lieutenant Governor Franklin Richards, to please come forward and address the gathering.
Good afternoon. You know, I feel very proud standing here this afternoon. Allow me, as chairman of the board of the Pension Fund of St. Martin, again to reiterate how proud I am with this latest development, especially the board members, and I would like to call their names that are here present with us this afternoon. Arjan Albers, would you please stand? Kiliano Saturnilia, Jaira Bommel, and Davinia Carbier, who is not here with us this evening. You know, this project, I must say I got many licks over my head from MP Mr. Heiliger. He said, I'm counting on you to get this done. We didn't give you all the land just for one guilder, for the people of St. Martin, especially after having the former Minister of Tiat, Mr. Claret Connor, signing the deed. And the same thing goes for MP or Minpress in this case. I would say ex-Minpress, once a Minpress, always a Minpress Gums. Really was on APS back. And I must say the administration really came through, especially after waiting for the permit for quite some time. It came through with Mr. Gitterson signing it. With this and other investment, I must say that APS has considered that it is imperative to invest in St. Martin, especially in the local investment, so that the pension fund generate returns on investment, especially having all of the representatives of APS, and not only the representatives of APS, Kendra, Yeller, and all the others in APS, like, for instance, the investment, Claire, officer with us who does all the necessary investment, and the investment committee that really work very hard in trying to get this project done along with our director. As chairman of the board, I trust that I can count on your support to assist APS as one of the St. Martin's premier investment, where we provide excellence through managing the participants' funds with principles of good governance. The seeking of cooperation with local and external investment is part of that approach, in which we seek to make a real difference in how we impact the St. Martin society. Where this project is concerned, let us not forget what is often repeated, and which is that there's an acute housing shortage in St. Martin. This situation was only made worse with the passing of Hurricane Irma in September last year. Why are we facing such a dire situation? To put it simply, we are not building enough homes, and we haven't done so for decades. Changing demographics means that St. Martin needs to build a certain amount of homes a year, every year, actually, so to speak. This housing deficit has been exacerbated by our failure to do just that. And when one addresses this issue, there's no simple solution to it. but it is possible to turn the tide and fix our country's housing supply. Right now, families are paying more in rent than monthly carrying costs of owning a comparable property. And so, yes, APS considers this housing development project as something significant for not only our pension fund, but for the community of St. Martin. The Oryx Housing Development Project is a prime example of local investment initiative that represents a win-win situation for all parties concerned. Its returns allow APS to continue to carry out its core task, pension payments, and it offers to qualified persons to become less dependent on others to meet a very basic need, which is having a home for yourself and your family. Again, I would like to thank Kendra and Yella really for coming through for us, because it really was a daunting task. Let's give them a big hand, because they really work hard. And also here at Twee, because on many times I will send an email to here at Twee and asking them, what about the project? And you just heard from Andre that here at Twee came through very well. I wish on behalf of the entire board of APS to extend sincere appreciation for the level of enthusiasm displayed by successive government administrations, APS managers and staff, constructions entities involved in this project, and others. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you very much, and it sounds so refreshing to hear that message and the optimism that is displayed in that message, and I hope we can be hearing more of those messages where it concerns housing on St. Martin. Now, you've heard him being thanked. He was thanked specifically for signing the permit to ensure that this project can get underway. At this time, we'd like to call on our Minister of Romi. We'll ask the Honorable Miklos Peterson to please come forward and address the gathering.
I am pleased to be here with you today in my capacity as Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure, and I congratulate the General Pension Fund, APS, and the developers of this project on this milestone. Today's groundbreaking symbolizes the start of construction on the Oryx Hills, Oryx residences, and that, when completed, will provide homes for a number of St. Martin families. It is no secret that we face a shortage of adequate housing on St. Martin, and these homes are very much needed. Therefore, I would like to thank APS for investing in this project in particular, and similar projects that provide our local families with a place to call their own. Home ownership has to be one of the greatest joys and sense of accomplishments that we experience as working adults. And you have made that possible by investing in this project. The ministry has been integrally involved in the process up to this point in various ways, from advising on applicable regulations for zoning, building, parking lots, etc., to the issuance of the building permit for this project. It is always exciting when plans move from just being a concept on paper to when they're actually near the construction phase. And that's what makes it real. I want to mention that I found it of utmost importance that this building permit was passed, was approved, and why it took 2 years to be approved, I have no idea. But like Kendra said in her opening statement, this should be just the drop in the bucket for more projects of this capacity for the island, for the country. We are all eagerly anticipating the completion of these homes, and I am happy to represent the government along with my fellow ministers in our part as facilitators. In closing, I wish you a very successful building phase, and I am looking forward to being invited back to the ribbon cutting ceremony next year. Thank you.
We'll also now ask the Minister, under whose political responsibility APS falls, the Minister of Finance, to please come and address us.
I have a short speech prepared, but we had a meeting today in Parliament, and one of the remarks, again by MP Heiliger, was that we need to acquire more properties for purposes like this one. And I think that is the essence of why we are here today. Acquisition of land makes projects like this become a reality. Now, the question is, how do we translate affordable, the term affordable? This is a $250,000, it's dollars or guilders? Dollars. It's a $250,000 home that one is going to buy. On the other hand, we heard it from the minister, from the director and the board chairman, that there is a serious need for affordable housing. And affordable housing is also below the 250,000. So my challenge to APS would be, on today's day, to look at possibilities to really go into more of affordable with a social coating, because that is what we really need. The requirements that one have to meet to be able to purchase the affordable house, in this case, I have no idea what you also determined to be a St. Martiner. Because all of those things will become an issue somewhere in time, as it was an issue that it took 2 years to issue these building permits. Now, so the challenge to APS would be to also look at the possibilities to go below the 250,000, to take into consideration the social aspect of doing such. The other point that I would like to make is, when you embark on a project of this magnitude, it raises a lot of questions in society on where is our pension fund going with investments like this. I would really recommend that also the APS captions all of this in a good public relations campaign, so it's very clear to the public in general what is taking place and the whole purpose of it. In closing, I would like to, I don't want to become political, but at the end of the day, that is what our profession is. I would like to very much thank those in government that made it possible that land was acquired to be able to make this possible. Because only then you can come up with prices as such, the 250,000. Now that in itself becomes a huge challenge for this government and other governments to come. And that was the plea and the request of MP Heiliger earlier today in Parliament. Go after the acquisition of more properties so we can continue having projects like this available in St. Martin. Now the political side of it is, and it is my firm belief that we have sufficient properties available. We will have to discuss this business with a lot of families owning that property and to come to some form of a cooperation to see how we can, meet each other halfway and make all these things possible for Country St. Martin. That is what I would like to give to you, the APS board, the management staff, the project, everybody at APS. I would like to congratulate you and give you and wish you all the success that, to complete this. I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of having you under my ministry. But don't forget you're a pension fund. Don't shy away too much from your core business, because we still have the responsibility for our pensioners in the future. I thank you very much, and congratulations to everybody in here.
Thank you very much, Minister. Folks, those were the addresses by the various dignitaries. And of course, we have some takeaways this afternoon. The issue is affordability. What do we consider affordable, and how can we ensure that we can provide affordable housing? But affordable housing also taking a look at the safeness of the community, comfort, quality, as well as, of course, the price range that can appeal to most. APS has stepped up to the plate with 62 units, and these units are going to actually not be just standalone units, but they are attempting to form a community here in this area, complete with courtyard and the ability, of course, for the residents to be able to expand on their property. Dcomm, as the contractor, local contractor, 22 years of experience, and they have committed to a delivery period of 1 year, so they are expecting to be back here in 1 year's time with all of the homes completed. And of course, we're going to continue having our challenges with shortage of homes, affordable homes on St. Martin. But of course, we see prices, as we were told by the director, prices that are going up. But although prices are going up, we're seeing every day that people are making investments and investments in real estate. So I believe APS, with what they're doing, they have their pulse on something to ensure sustainability of the pension fund. As the chairman of the board says, he has indicated the optimism that APS has in the housing market and their commitment to ensuring that we can get more affordable housing. And once we continue doing this, I believe APS, the government, and of course the ultimate beneficiaries, which will be the residents, we will be creating a win-win-win situation where it comes to housing and affordable housing on St. Martin. So we'd like to thank the APS, thank government and all the other role players, contractors that are involved in this project. And indeed, I also look forward to being here in 1 year's time when the residents will be moving in.